Kia ora, everybody. Thank you, Seed Waikato, and thank you, Hamilton Gardens Arts Festival, for having me here. I'm incredibly nervous and really happy at the same time, because I think that the art of expression is a really important topic, because we need to express ourselves to survive, really. But also nervous because you're actually listening to me, I hope. Anyway, so just to make everyone feel more comfortable, hopefully, and also to make myself feel more comfortable, I have a poem that I'd like to share with you. I wrote it for National Poetry Day 2018, and it was performed there for the first time at the Hamilton City Library. And here we go. It's called Glass Questions. My granddad was a slow talker. He liked to hold words as if they were broken glass, like they could cut him if he moved wrong. He liked saying, "I am glue," filling the cracks between thought and speech, making up for all the meaning we have lost. My granddad was a slow talker. He taught us that asking the wrong question is the worst kind of mistake. Mistakes like asking for a name to shame so that we can play the blame game, when we should be asking what makes us and them the same. To ask how much, as if success were a concrete noun. To ask what should they do next, instead of what are we doing now. The question mark, Granddad said, is a symbol of gravity. If you forget what it means, you'll never learn to fly. My granddad was a slow talker. His favorite sound was the awkward silence. He liked to watch people stop. He liked to say, "Never get used to running, or you will find yourself chasing bottomless circles, kicking up so much dust that your lungs will learn to choke on cleaner air. Then it will be hard to own your dust storms," he said, "hard to stand in the eye of it to see the sky." My granddad was a slow talker. He taught us that words are like glass, breakable. Sometimes they are sharp and cutting. But they can also be prisms that make magic from ordinary sunshine. They can be windows that open to breathtaking futures where we, children, remember. Thank you. Thank you. I chose to read that poem today because I think expression is about overflow. It's about having a tangible sign of the truths that we have inside us. And so the poem Glass Questions, and poetry in general for myself, is one of those ways for me to express things that I know to be true. And today I'm going to share 3 things that I know to be true with all of you, and a little bit of a story to go with each bit. Sorry. It's getting in my face. Okay. So the first thing I know to be true is that nobody else can be who you are. And that makes you a gift. That means that the world would not be the same without you. And that means that it's okay to be different because everyone is different. And that means that no one else has looked on this time and this place through your eyes or with your memories. So the art of expression is closely linked with the art of knowing ourselves. So for as long as I can remember, I've walked around with words and stories like flashing light bulbs in my head. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever sat under a flashing light bulb, you know that that's really hard to ignore it. But that's okay, because at home, we're a storytelling family, which means that we talk a lot. And we love to read everything and watch everything. Movies, comic books, poetry, everything. But at school, and especially between the ages of 9 to 12, I think, you can check with my parents, they're here, they can tell you the story. But at school, it was a different story. I got bullied quite a bit in primary school, and I still get nervous around ball sports because I got used to the idea that if I went onto the field in a team, they would throw the ball at me on purpose. And like, I remember Dad even had to walk me to class one day because it was just like, felt better if Dad walked me to class. But look, now it's been ages. But in hindsight, I can look at that situation and I can go, look, bullying is always wrong. But I think that also what happened to me as a child with other children was that it came from a very simple problem. And it was that we just didn't understand each other. And we didn't know how to start understanding each other. Because if you were 9-year-old me, and you're sitting next to a girl in class who's carving I Heart Leonardo DiCaprio into her desk, and you're sitting there reading the Silmarillion for the 3rd time, and you're 9 years old. It's a bit different, right? Look, there's a lot of misunderstanding that can happen between people with such different tastes. But that shouldn't be a problem. And I think that that's a lesson that we can teach our young people, that we can learn ourselves, and that I didn't know when I was 9, is that being different doesn't make you better or worse. It just makes you you. And being bullied taught me that I couldn't change who I was, or what I liked to read, or what I was passionate about. More importantly, it taught me that I didn't want to be anybody else but myself. And I look back now and I'm grateful for all of it, even the painful parts, because it's part of my story now. And it's part of why I can stand here today and say, I'm a poet. That I work hard at my craft to try to be the best poet that I can, because it's my story to tell. And that brings me to the second part. The second thing that I know to be true is that we are all under construction. Our talents will always need development, just like muscles need exercise. And poetry is one of the only trained muscles I have. I try to keep growing by surrounding myself with good people who care. And because nothing wakes up people like people. So my parents, they encouraged me to enter my first poetry competition, Anzac Day, in 2010, I think, anyway, somewhere around there. And Seed Waikato. I'll never forget the day that I sat down with Gemma and she said basically, we want your words, you need to write a blog. And that was crazy, that somebody could look at my work, read it, and want to read more. It's like, wow, new experience. And so, and also God. I mean, I have conversations with God, and sometimes I'm ready for them, and sometimes I'm not. But my parents, Seed, my friends, my teachers, God, these are the voices that pull me up. And equally important are the voices that have pushed me to be better. Brene Brown said the creatives have to know how to fall and rise strong every day. And that's a very true thing. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten saying, we're sorry, but we will not be printing your work in our next issue. And it takes time to read that and see not rejection of yourself, but also not a rejection of yourself, but just a challenge for your work to be better. And to remind myself, I guess, it's a struggle, but you have to remind yourself that if I didn't get rejection letters, I would probably be writing the same poem over and over again. So yes, we are enough, but our work could maybe be better expressions of the truth inside us. And that art of expression can also be about balancing feedback that we get so that we can grow forward. And the last thing that I'd like to share with you today, the last truth, is that we must own our platforms. All we really have is right now. All we have to do is show up. And one of my favorite authors, Ray Bradbury, he wrote Fahrenheit 451 on a rented typewriter at the library, the local library. He had to pay 10 cents every half hour, and he would just type until he ran out of change. Now, some people would say those are not the ideal circumstances in which to write a book, but that little book went to sell 10 million copies. And so what I learned from that story is that really you can't always wait for the perfect circumstances. You have to make the day count instead of counting down the days. And at the moment, to be honest, I'm not sure how to make a living out of my writing yet. It's a work in progress. But that's what my Instagram poetry is about. You can follow me. I'll give you if you ask me later. So the name Rippage is a reference to the recycled paper I use to write on. So I just rip pages into 4 and write on them. And Rippage is also the French word for shifting. It's about shifting my perspective about my writing, about myself. So I try to write 3 times a week. There are no drafts or redrafts. So whatever comes out just gets put up. And that means that sometimes there are mistakes. And for a perfectionist like myself, that's really hard to let go of that and put it out there, but it's important. And yeah, so yeah, to give you an idea of how much of a perfectionist I am, my little sister told me the other day that I needed to be more spontaneous, and I was like, when? And it was like, oops. I realized what I'd said just after I said it, and oh no, never mind. Anyway, but the point is that my platform, your platform, it's just right here, right now, with the people sitting next to us. I mean, to stand where you are is a powerful thing. And so have your say. Make mistakes. It's part of the excitement of the journey, part of keeping things interesting. But all you really need to express yourself is your humanity. And when that's difficult, I hope we can be children who remember this next poem. It's called Amistad, and it was published in Waikato's Mayhem literary journal. My friend, you are the sugar of life, a moment sweetener, a mid-air heel-click thrill accomplished in perfect time, a couplet that rhymes where and when you will, a matched gaze between windows to the same soul. Thank you.